Okay, so in this segment, we're going to talk about extensions. Now, basically, we've now taken our triad and turned it into some type of seventh chord. Let's just start off with the C major seventh chord. So we've added a B to it, and now it's a C major seventh chord. Now, some of you have probably heard of ninth chords, 11th chords, and 13th chords. And I'm actually going to show you where that comes from and how we actually get those 9th, 11th, and 13th. If we take a C major scale, we realize that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. Now, in order to get to our extensions, what we're going to do is continue on with that scale and continue increasing our numbers as we count. So that means that our next C will now be 8, and we'll keep counting from 8 all the way up to 13. So we have C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, this next C is 8, D is now 9, E is 10, F is 11, G is 12, and A is 13. Let me show you that again. When you go from this C to the next C, now we call this C 8 because we're just counting in order to get the rest of our extensions, our 9, 11, and 13. So now this C is 8 because we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this D is 9, this E is 10, F is 11, G is 12, A is 13. Now that's as far as you really need to go. We actually won't necessarily use the number 8, we won't use the number 10, and we won't really use the number 12. We really just use 9, 11, and 13. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you the possibilities you have when dealing with 9th, 11th, and 13th. So if we take a C major chord, and I'm going to play it with my left hand now in order to stretch out and start to play some of these extensions. We take a C triad, CEG. If we add the 7th of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is B, we now have a C, as we said, major 7th chord. And then if we add this D, which now becomes 9 because we have 7, 8, 9, we have a C major 9 chord. Now, as you can see at this point, this chord is getting really colorful. If I play this, put the root there, it's getting really colorful. And these are the chords that you hear in jazz. They're really just basic triads with added extensions on them to make them even more colorful. So once again, you had a C major triad, we added the 7th, and we added the 9 onto the chord. And now we have a C major 9 chord. All right? You can do the same thing with a minor 7 chord. You can take a C minor triad. We added our 7th, which in this case we realized that the 7th was actually a lowered 7th. That's what we use in order to take this chord and make it a C minor 7 chord. And then if we add the 9, which is now D, we have a C minor 9 chord. Now we can also continue on and go to the 11th and make this a C minor 11 chord, because we will go all the way to D is 9, E is 10, F is 11. So if we add that, this is what we have. C minor triad. Here's the lowered 7th. Here's the 9. And now we added F, a C minor 11 chord. Now from here, I'm going to show you how we get to a 13th chord. Now most of the time we use the 13th in dominant chords. So let's start off with a dominant chord and build from there. If we take a C triad, we add a 7th to it, which we realized that we had to add the lowered 7th in order for it to be a dominant chord. And if we add the 9, which is D, we now have a C dominant 7 with a 9 added. So now this is called a C dominant 9 chord. Now from here, just for a second, I'm going to skip over the 11. You don't have to have every extension in every chord in order for it to be that chord. So what I mean is, we can have a C dominant 7 chord. We can add a 9, which makes it C dominant 9. We can skip the 11, which is F. And it's a reason why I'm skipping that. I'll come back to that. And we can add an A to this chord. And now we have a C dominant 13 chord, or C13. Once again, C dominant 7. We add the 9, it becomes dominant 9. We add the 13, which is A. It becomes C dominant 13. Now, fortunately, you might say to yourself, well, my hands aren't that big to stretch and play all these notes. Fortunately, which you'll see in the next segment, a lot of times we take a few of these notes out and make more skeletal voicings of these chords in order to make them playable. So we're going to show you that in the next segment. But for right now, we have a C 13 chord, or dominant 13. So we just want to go through this to show you the possibilities. What you should do is take your major chords. You've now turned them into 7th chords. And you should start experimenting with finding the 9th of the chord, the 11th of the chord, and the 13th of the chord. Now the main thing we want you to be able to do is to go through and say, okay, this is a C major scale. This is my 7th. And if I continue counting past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I now have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. In fact, go through your major scales and take a sheet of paper and actually write down what the 9th of the scale is, the 11th of the scale, and the 13th of the scale. That's going to come in handy as we get into more advanced chords.